Greetings. I am an advocate for the anti-sin movement. These videos are not edited. They are AI assisted and read from script. Today's subject is no condemnation. In the New Testament, there is a story about a woman who was to be stoned to death. No one could stone her because everyone present had sinned at one time or another. Everyone present was asked, whoever had not sinned, to cast the first stone. No one could cast the first stone because all were sinners. Just as today, as anti-sin advocates, we are learning about the importance of the principles and practices of living by God's commandments. Most of us, if not all of us, have sinned in some time or some way. Lying, fornication, stealing, or poisoning our bodies with substances. Our bodies have been created to be God's temple. Our duty is to remain clear of substances that pollute God's inner dwelling place. We are to form God's sin-free, righteous character within self, in the likeness and image of God. Our keeping clear of sin allows God's attributes to resurrect within us. None of us can condemn another because we all have sinned. Harmful, sinful behavior must be reported and stopped because of sinful conduct's harmful, damaging, and murderous effects on people and society. We all need to improve and eliminate sin from our lives. We do not condemn. However, we do confront and work to eliminate harmful behaviors in all societal areas. Firstly, and most importantly, within ourselves. The story of the woman caught in adultery, found in John 8, verse 1 through 11, is a powerful illustration of grace, mercy, and the call to atonement, repentance, and redemption. In this account, the religious leaders brought the woman before Jesus, seeking to trap him by asking if she should be stoned according to the law of Moses. Jesus responded, "Let any one of you who is without sin be the first to cast a stone." This disarmed the crowd, as one by one they walked away, convicted by their own imperfections. Jesus then asked the woman, "Has no one condemned you?" When she replied, "No one, sir," Jesus told her, "Then neither do I condemn you. Go now and leave your life of sin." Go now and leave your life of sin. We here are all to take Jesus' words of advice and go now and leave our life of sin. This is the true purpose of God's presence in flesh. Let us go now and leave our life without sin, sin-free. This story is a lesson for anti-sin advocates, acknowledging universal sinfulness. As the story shows, no one is without sin. Even those who see themselves as righteous often fail to meet the full standard of God's commandments. For anti-sin advocates, This is a reminder of humility. While we strive to live sin-free lives, we must recognize that we, too, have fallen short at one time or another. This humility is essential that we approach others with love and with a desire for restoration rather than condemnation. The need for accountability without condemnation. There is a need for accountability without condemnation. Jesus did not condone the woman's sin, but neither did he condemn her. Jesus did not condone the woman's sin of adultery, but neither did he condemn her. Instead, he directed her toward repentance with the words, "Go and sin no more." Similarly, anti-sin advocates must hold harmful behaviors accountable, not to condemn or punish, but to inspire and transform. This involves calling out sinful behaviors that harm individuals and society, such as all forms of addictions, violence, or deceit, but with the mindset of compassion and guidance, not hatred or negative self-righteousness. Sin, damage to society. Sin damages society. Sinful behavior like lying, stealing, fornication, or poisoning the body create a domino effect of harm that destroys families, communities, and society at large. For example, lying erodes trust and relationships. Lying erodes trust and relationships. Substance abuse destroys the body, which is meant to be God's temple, and often leads to societal issues like increased crime and poverty. Sexual immorality results in broken families, emotional wounds, and generational pain. Anti-sin advocates must confront these behaviors because they threaten the well-being and moral fabric of individuals and communities. They threaten the well-being and moral fiber of individuals and communities. However, the confrontation must always be restorative, healing, and uplifting, rather than to tear down or ostracize. It's not to tear down or ostracize. Living as examples. It is not enough to point out sin in others. Anti-sin advocates are to first live by example. This involves daily obedience and practice of God's commandments and a continuous active effort to improve one's own life by demonstrating the fruits of a sin-free life through peace, joy, kindness, and strength. We inspire others to join the anti-sin movement toward righteousness and sin-free living. Fulfilling the mission to uplift. We are fulfilling a mission to uplift, just as Jesus uplifted the woman instead of condemning her. Anti-sin advocates are called to lift ourselves and others out of sin by the power of God's lawful will. Harmful behaviors must be addressed and eradicated because sin destroys God's lawful will within oneself. Therefore, sin must be addressed with the intention of helping ourselves and other sinners to recognize the consequences of our conduct and recognize the beauty of our living a sin-free existence. Recognizing sin as a shared enemy. We are to recognize sin is an enemy and is a shared enemy between us. In the fight against sin, the enemy is not the individual, but the behavior and the sinful, ungodlike forces that drive it. Sin enslaves the mind and body, leading to hate, envy, lust, greed, and destruction. By focusing on the behavior rather than the person, anti-sin advocates confront sin without alienating the person caught up in sin, helping them to see a sin-free, better way of life, moving forward, acquiring the attributes of God's presence in ourselves. Focus on the sinful behavior, not the person. The death penalty is here to eliminate the person, which does not give a decisive answer to eliminating the problem. God's divine law is here to eliminate unwanted sinful behavior in us all, which eliminates the problem. Moving forward, restorative confrontation. In moving forward, we'll have restorative confrontation. The key is balancing conduct and truth. Harmful behaviors should never be ignored, as they cause real damage to both individuals and society. However, in confronting sin, we are to do so with the mindset that seeking healing and restoration, reflecting Jesus' example. Anti-sin advocacy. Anti-sin advocacy is not about standing in condemnation, but about being vessels of God's love, kindness, and guidance. It's about lifting people up so we can experience the freedom and joy of the growing number of people living sin-free. This process requires patience, personal commitment, and a deep commitment to walking in obedience to God's commandments while inspiring others to do the same. Peace. Tune into part 2 of No Condemnation.